is Business Live. Coming up tonight, Tullow Oil indicates preparedness to engage government in resolving almost $400 million tax charge despite expected ruling by an international court from middle of this year. Also in this bulletin, Ghana cedi regained some stability against the US dollar last week, preserving its year-to-date loss to about 6.35%. Plus, businesses have been urged to lobby for industry-specific policies to enhance trade. We'll hear from senior partner of AB and David Africa, David Ofosudote.
Government policies just don't happen. They are lobbied for. And I was encouraging the Ghanaian business community to come together for their own strategic interest to lobby for specific policies instead of waiting to hear those policies in the budget.
We have details of these and many others lined up for you. Please be my guest. Thanks so much for your time. Let's now zoom into our very first story. Oil exploration firm Tullow has indicated its preparedness to engage government in resolving almost $400 million tax charge by the Ghana Revenue Authority. This was captured in Tullow's annual report to investors. More from George Yafe.
For some, the move can be described as interesting, especially when Tullow Oil is expecting a ruling on this issue from June this year. This was after it first took the case to an international court in London for an arbitration, following the almost $400 million tax charge on their operations from 2016 to 2020. The London court is expected to give its ruling from June this year, but Tullow Oil in this report to investors has indicated that despite this case being in court, they are willing to continue engaging government on this issue. It is not clear for now whether the oil exploration firm is now open to some settlement or still go ahead and push for a ruling on this tax dispute case. For some, this has left a lot of questions than answers. The Ghana Revenue Authority, on the other hand, has also maintained that it is committed to seeing an end to this case. This because there is no basis for Tullow to reject their work or assessment on taxes they are supposed to pay to the state. Others have also argued the ruling from June this year may influence the direction for other oil exploration firms that are currently contesting the Ghana Revenue Authority when it comes to their tax assessment on the operations in the country.
Meanwhile, Group Chief Executive of Tullow Oil, Rahul Dia, has justified their decision to go ahead to resolve the tax charge dispute with government despite expected ruling from the middle of this year. Now, we are assured that they will push ahead for this engagement.
Firstly, timing-wise, I think it's going to be sometime in the kind of, mid to second half of the year. I couldn't give you a more precise time frame on that. I think you said rightly, it's quite a landmark thing because it's roughly half of the kind of Ghana contingent sort of tax, liability. We're pretty confident about we're confident about the position that we have and hopefully the outcome. The way we see it is that a good outcome on that certainly kind of helps kind of de-risk that whole kind of contingent liability. I think it gives a good platform certainly for us to continue to engage with the government to address what is left. That's kind of the way I would think about it.
Let's explore this further. Joining me via Zoom to do that is energy strategist and CEO of Eureka Energy Solutions, Dr. Suleiman Yusuf. Thanks so much, sir, and good to see you here on Business Live. First off, what do you make of this development hearing from Tullow now?
Yeah, thank you very much, Pius. Good afternoon to you or evening to you and your cherished listeners in Ghana and across the globe. It's good to have me again once again. Thanks. Indeed, I see this as very welcoming, Pius, to say the least. In the first place, I had kicked against taking this to that extent. I thought this issue could have resolved, amicably between the two parties. Whilst I think Ghana government, let's say GRA, shouldn't leave a chance to let anybody go scot-free with respect to their tax obligations. I also thought Tullow is key to our upstream portfolio. And so I don't like any wrangling, especially it came within the space of the time where we had almost all our upstream players struggling with one way or the other You do remember ENI also, they were also struggling with a kind of a unitization issues with, Springfield. And so the argument of all this that I felt that time, that it wasn't that necessary to take it to the international arbitration. However, it's also still borders to the fact that, other players will see it as a form that in Ghana, when you have dispute, there is amicable way of resolving it. But I think if they are resolved locally, like they are now championing, it will have been very, very good for the two parties, then taking it international. Now, why do you think they take these steps? There are a couple of reasons. I always tell you that if you notice Tullow and their portfolio within the continent, Uganda, Gabon, even in Guyana, up in the Americas, if you observe their portfolio, Ghana has been their productive asset. So Ghana partnership with Tullow, it is a win-win situation. We cannot afford to lose Tullow. Neither can Tullow afford to lose Ghana. So I feel that kind of partnership, and if you look at our production portfolio, as we speak, Ghana will struggle over the last decade, to cross, let's say, to cross 200,000 barrels of oil per stream day. When oil price around $80 per barrel, would have been expecting that we should have been able to churn out a maximum within, into our production portfolio. But that's not the case. We are struggling here. If you notice, Tullow posts some losses, about $100 million plus. Well, one of it was also due to problems within Ghana. So I want to say that this issue, I welcome it so much. And I pray and hope that Tullow should resolve it locally with our Ghanaian partners, then, resolving to the external parties to resolve it. Other than that, I think it doesn't bother well.
The good thing is that we are learning that in the middle of this year, we will see a ruling or hear a ruling on that matter. But are you worried, or will you say you will be worried if this doesn't go well for both parties? And really, for Ghana, how will that affect our relations with Tullow Oil?
Yeah, so it's not only Tullow Oil, we are looking beyond. We are looking at within a space that is very, very competitive, a space that we need investment, a space that, since we started producing oil, we haven't had any field coming up. If you remember, the field that was supposed to be promising, at the last minute, it vanished into thin air. I'm talking about ExxonMobil. We actually need a third force. A fourth force. When I say third force, we have two fields here. We have Tullow 1 and EN. I know we have three fields. And Tullow fields is the grand jewel for Ghana production. Had it not been the coming of, GNC, Jubilee South East Field, that helped to catapult our production back to 150,000 barrels per oil per day. We were now far below 150,000 barrels per day. So all this, if it's resolved locally, like I mentioned, it sends a very positive signal that investors can still have confidence in Ghana upstream and come to invest. And we need investors to come within the space. And also, I'm saying that it's very crucial because there's competing investment between the world of carbon and that of renewables. And so that competition is very tight. And we have capital discipline. I've always called for the fact that Tullow has to move away from a bit of capital discipline to massive investment. And so all these factors will play into the Tullow being able to invest more, and even other players having confidence to invest in Ghana. So yes, resolving it locally is going to be a win-win situation, for Ghana as a nation. We don't look at the tax that we're going to get. No, I wish that Ghana would get the tax, and it shouldn't be anything. But I don't want us to use about $400 million a dispute between two parties, critical player like Tullow, and to lose maybe a huge other investment that is coming into the portfolio. But like I mentioned, I support every action that is geared towards getting whatever is due to Ghana, but not to the detriment of losing a critical player. So I believe the players know very well this things are taken out. It's going to be a lose. It's going to be a win-win situation when we resolve it locally for Tullow as our player and the host nation Ghana.
You are looking at a win-win situation for both parties, but again, I find this interesting. In another breath, the Tullow is basically saying, okay, I want to engage government on some of these issues. And in another breath, it's in court. So really, how do we reconcile the two?
Yeah, so you're right. It's very difficult to reconcile. The two. But I feel that they've seen what I'm talking about. And if you have a chance to read, to follow their annual reports, look at all their assets. talk about Kenya. Kenya was one of the promising, but at the last minute, a JV partner pulled out. That delayed the FID, a financial investment plan or what into the field. If you look at Uganda, nothing is happening. Guyana, there is heat dry hole. So Ghana has been undoubtedly. So Tullow knows this very well. And Ghana government also knows that very well. Without Tullow, we don't have upstream, I can tell you on authority. Tullow also knows that without Ghana, they don't have, your portfolio. So in all this, I think Tullow they don't want to do any miscalculation. So I even think that had it not been the fact that it's just coming to give the ruling, they could have pulled out the case and resolve it locally and resolve it between the partners. So yes, resolving it locally because the stakes are very high is the way to go, undoubtedly. And the two players know that. The host nation Ghana knows that, and Tullow Ghana also knows that.
I want to know this, Mr. Yusuf Suleiman. Now, in our attempts to attract more FDIs into the oil sector, could this development hurt Ghana?
Yeah, definitely, definitely. That's why I didn't want it to go to the international terrain. I said we need the money, but we need to tread cautiously, just to not to send wrong signals to the international space that Ghana is going after their investors. We don't have to let them. We don't have to let it look that way. And I believe that, like I said, the players know that. So the high time we resolve this amicably between these two players, the better. Other than that, the supposed wrong signals are there, and I'm just telling you that there is capital display in the international space with respect to investment to the world of hydrocarbon. You will need to do a lot more to get people to invest into the portfolio because the stakes are simply too high, and it's not bordering well.
All right, thank you very much, Dr. Yusuf Suleiman. We are indeed grateful for your time speaking to us on the back of Tullow and, of course, Ghana in that international arbitration matter there. Let's move away from that and do this story. The Ghana cedi regained some stability against the US dollar last week, preserving its year-to-date loss to about 6.35%, following the approval of the $300 million facility from the World Bank by Parliament last Friday. Market watchers and analysts are projecting stability for the local unit in the near term. More in this report.
After a difficult period in the past 2 weeks, the cedi regained its footing as it firmed against the major trading currencies. Although corporate demand exerted some pressure on the local currency, the Bank of Ghana's marginal $17 million market intervention helped hold the cedi steady. As a result, it advanced by 0.93% and 1.43% week on week versus the pound and the euro, but remained unchanged against the dollar at a mid-rate of 13 cedis to $1 on the retail market. Looking ahead, analysts perceive some stability for the local unit in the short term. This is because of the $300 million World Bank facility, which is intended to facilitate the restoration of fiscal stability, promote financial sector stability, stimulate private sector development, among others. Its imminent disbursement is expected to improve liquidity and strengthen the intervention capacity of the central bank.
One of our headline stories, senior partner of AB and David Africa, David Ofosudote, has urged Ghanaian businesses to push for effective policies which will enhance the operations. He spoke to Joy Business on the sidelines of Standard Chartered Bank's Future of Trade report on the African Continental Free Trade Area in Accra.
Policies just don't happen. They are lobbied for. And I was encouraging the Ghanaian business community to come together for their own strategic interest to lobby for specific policies instead of waiting to hear those policies in the budget. I'm aware of how the policy process making takes place, and I see, and this is something I've said over and over, I see businesses more waiting to receive policies than pushing for specific policies, and I think we should do much better at the business sector. The banks are doing well in the midst of all the challenges that we have, the DDEP, etc., but if we are talking about after and we are talking about an integrating continent, it may be helpful if banks beginning to also fashion, let me call it, after specific facilities. So it's not a question of, yes, I will help you with export, but I'll help you with export with specific sector if you meet X, Y, Z, that then guides businesses in terms of preparing themselves to be able to meet the requirements of the facility that the banks will be rolling out. And banks can do this alongside DFIs and other governments in this regard.
You're still watching Business Life. We've got more stories for you after this break. Now, international tech company Yango has organized the maiden edition of its Women in Transport conference to empower and inspire women in the transport and ride-hailing business in Ghana as part of activities to mark this year's International Women's Day celebration. There is more in the following report.
The conference was to appreciate the resilience, innovation, and contribution of women who navigate the roads and continue to shape the future of the transportation industry, whilst equipping them with the right skill set to enable them to succeed in their chosen profession. It assembled some of the finest women achievers in the transport industry to share their journey and success stories as role models in the business to motivate and inspire other existing and upcoming women seeking to enter the digital mobility business. International Call Center Coordinator for Yango Ghana, Ms. Audrey Akko-Addo, told journalists that the two activities was to inspire inclusion in the transport sector and to give back to society.
So today, Yango organized Women in Transportation Conference, where we invited women from different walks of life. We also had our partners, our female partners, our female couriers, and our female drivers coming together in one space, hoping to inspire them to create awareness about the good work they're doing with Yango technology, and also hoping to get more women to come on board as we commemorate International Women's Day 2024. We had lots of surprises and goodies for the drivers, not just to reward them for the good work they're doing, but also to say a little thank you. We had different gifts in terms of fuel vouchers, in terms of Yango branded items, and many more.
Yango also cleared the bills of about 20 female patients in the maternity and orthopedic wards of the Tullow Teaching Hospital. The beneficiaries had been kept at the hospital for several weeks after delivery and treatment due to the inability to pay off their medical bills.
It's a fully packed day. This is just the beginning. The Women's Conference was just the start of the day. We also have several other planned activities. From here, we'll be moving to Tullow Teaching Hospital, where we'll be visiting the orthopedic center. We also want to give back to society in as much as we're a business. So we're going there to release some females who had been on admission but were not able to pay their bills. Yango, as a company, has decided to foot those bills, take care of everything, and help these women to go home to their families.
All right, so let's go back to our earlier story where a recent report by globalpetrolprices.com has ranked Ghana as the 10th African country with the most affordable fuel prices in March 2024.
Currently, petrol prices in Ghana range from 12 Ghana cedis and 2 pesos to 13 Ghana cedis, 29 pesos per litre, while diesel falls between 13 Ghana cedis, 21 pesos and 14 Ghana cedis, 60 pesos per litre. This represents an increase from previous rates. According to globalpetrolprice.com, the average price of fuel, which is 13 Ghana cedis and 3 pesos, is cheaper than the global average of 30 cents per litre. The importance of low fuel price cannot be overstated, particularly in countries with low income levels. Low gasoline prices have an impact on many facets of the global economy. They empower consumers and companies and shape the market while ensuring that an economy can function smoothly. With this reason, governments work to keep the price of fuel somehow low. It is explained that Ghana's ranking as the 10th cheaper fuel provider in Africa offers a double-edged sword, stressing that while consumers and some businesses benefit, the petroleum sector might face challenges. By adopting strategic approaches to efficiency, tax diversification, and infrastructure development, Ghana can mitigate potential downsides and leverage this ranking to create a win-win situation for all stakeholders.
Now, the entry of Telesol into the Ghanaian market will endanger innovation in the digital and mobile financial services. This is an assurance from the Chief Executive of Telesol Ghana, Patricia Obunai. According to her, Telesol is committed to invest heavily to be at par or overtake the market leaders in the telecom industry. Ms. Obunai spoke to Joy Business at a mega launch of Telesol in Accra following the smooth transition process from Vodafone.
Cell acquired 70% shares from Ghana Telecom after Vodafone announced its intention to exit Ghana's telecom market. The transition process has gone on for about a year to enable all parties, including the government of Ghana and Parliament, to approve the deal for the takeover without any challenges. After a successful transition, Telecel is assuring of some digital innovation and initiatives to promote financial inclusion. Chief Executive of Telecel Ghana, Patricia Obunai, explains.
We have announced our brand promise that they are going to see an experience that is very different in our network, in the way we deliver service to our customers, and also importantly the mobile financial services. There will be a lot of digital innovations that will come up, and so we announced our app called the Telecel Play that everybody should download it. And over the period, you begin to see the changes that will happen, especially in the financial services.
Chief Executive of Telecel Group, Mo Damush, assured of the necessary investment in the long term to make the network more attractive.
We have acquired the company last year. Although we have launched the brand today, and today Vodafone Ghana has become Telecel Ghana, but we've been in the country since 1 year. Let me tell you, give you a small example on what we have done in the first year, even before rebranding. We have expanded the 4G network by 500 sites within 1 year. That's the largest expansion in the history of the company within a short period of time. We have increased our retail shops from 30 shops to 150 shops within that year. So that momentum will continue, and I promise you that this momentum this year will be much faster and will continue for the coming time. We are dedicated for this country. This operation and Ghana operation is our flagship, and it will continue to be, and that's why it will have our dedication, it will have our, and we have a determination to succeed and to make it a strong number 2 or number 1 player in the country.
The mega launch is part of the ultimate phase in the evolution of the telecommunication network.
And that's it for the bulletin. I am Pius Kojo Baka. For more stories, do log on to myjoyonline.com/business for all the business news you need to know in Ghana and beyond. See you same time tomorrow. I leave you with international business.